Had some pretty big moves on Friday because of the news event that happened. So I don't really think there's going to be too much of a breakdown just because I don't really see any setups right now. But regardless, we'll kind of, talk about, the potential break or, potentially how you guys have caught some of these moves, et cetera, et cetera. So now, I guess we'll start with GJ. So the thing with GJ is price has been consolidating literally for the last few days. And even if you break it down to a smaller time frame, such as an hour time frame, these aren't really great market conditions to actually trade. So I haven't really traded GJ at all. Kind of just waiting for some form of a breakout here. Now you can look at it from two different perspectives. So if you look at it from a daily time frame, price is still, yes, in a bullish condition. It is still making higher highs and higher lows. Now, if we're to look at the overall structure here, we have a high, we have a higher low point followed by a high. So, the question kind of rises, could this potentially be a higher low point and could price come up and make new highs? Well, really, that just comes down to my bad. That was weekly. Really, that just comes down to what happens here on the daily time frame. So the daily time frame has formed support at 161 flat, where we've actually seen price reject this 161 area for the last few weeks in August so far. So with price continuing to reject 161, you can expect price to come back into this weekly kind of resistance zone being 163, which is a pretty decent size move. I believe that's about like 150, 200-ish pips, depending on where you're looking to target. So you could still trade within this range, yes, but just the consolidation that we've seen and the choppiness that we've seen throughout this level just really isn't the best to actually look to take any positions. So really, if you were to trade GJ and you were to look to take buys, ultimately, you'd want to take buys as close to support as possible with a 4-hour engulfing candlestick. So you could look to take some form of a swing position here from Asian session. Maybe something along the lines of like this, where you target the highs, stop loss into the lows, but then the risk reward ratio ultimately doesn't make too much sense. So really right now, I feel like the best thing to do with GJ ultimately is just kind of wait and see what happens. Maybe you could probably get a better setup if GJ pulls back down a little further and gives you a rejection of that 161 level. But until then, like these just aren't great conditions to just trade GJ in general. It's stuck between let's call it an average of around a 72 pip range. So best thing to do is just kind of wait for a breakout and then follow the direction of the breakout itself. Now, for those of you that saw the analysis that I had pretty much put on gold, either on the Discord or the free Telegram, we had gold initially break under 1760, which is a major area of support, as you guys can see there. Gold pulled all the way back into the 1761 area and then actually gave us a nice rejection where you could have then looked to started to take on short positions from that point in time. You had price come down from a low, lower high, low, lower high, and then price continued to actually trade lower. And when it came to, gold and looking for a gold's like projection where we could see another move to the downside, really you'd have to wait and see what happens here at the 1730 level. If price can get under this 1730 level, then we'll look for 1722. Obviously, you could also trade it from an intraday perspective, trading it from like an hour time frame and just really looking to get in on a continuation to the downside. So you pretty much just look for continuation levels, etc., etc. Pretty much what we would look for throughout the majority of the pairs that we actually trade here. Now, if we look at gold from like a long-term perspective and, where can we possibly, buy and or sell, really we'd have to wait for gold to come into the 1722 area and see what happens there, which gold is roughly 120 pips away from that area. We do have minor daily support throughout this range here. We have a little bit of resistance here. We have a little bit of support here. So, coming to the London or the New York session, this zone, this level here could create for some trading opportunity. I don't know how great of an opportunity that would actually be, but, the possibility is definitely there. Like if you pay attention to this hour time frame, price rejected this area quite nicely. They went down to the support level being 1722. So you could look for a break and retest of this area as long as price can remain under this zone and this zone hold as resistance, then you can look for price to go down into 1722. So that's a possible trade idea for you guys there, which would be a continuation for the gold shorts. Personally, I wouldn't look to buy gold just because I wouldn't look to fight this bearish condition. There's kind of no point in going against the overall trend. So that's kind of the best setup that I see on gold right now would be to look for some form of a break and retest of this kind of yellow zone or this orange zone that you have there, and then look for price to go into 1722. What happens at 1722? We'd have to wait and see, because if price breaks under 1722, then we could see a very clean move back down into 1680 basically, which is about 400 pips away. So you can see a very clean move then and there. But again, we'd have to just kind of wait for that to actually happen and see what happens when price gets to this area and see how the daily closes. If the daily closes under, then there's going to be a probability for price to continue to go down and make new lows. Ultimately, you just kind of have to wait. That's really the only setup I see right now in gold, though. US 30. So, I'm kind of upset with US 30 because I've been looking for this move for literally the longest point in time. I had been shorting throughout this entire range here, shorting this 4-hour candlestick here as well, shorting this area here, looking for price to come down into 32,670, 32,680. Let's kind of call it, which is pretty much the support level. You go to the daily time frame here as well. It is a level of support here on the daily. But the news event just continue to push price lower and lower and lower. And, what my 100K day was could have potentially been floating right now at like a $600,000 profit. But, it is what it is. You can't really dwell on what could have been. You can only, accept what did happen and what you could do in the future to obviously look to increase your profitability. And that's just coming from experience. It only gets easier with time. I could say here, be like, oh yeah, because my entry was somewhere along literally the top right here, and price went all the way down. But then at the same time, you go down to the 5-minute time frame, right? And this news event, my entry was along this area over here. I was up 100K. I would have been break even. So it would have been very difficult for me to hold that position, especially to now. So it is what it is. It's kind of one of those situations. When it comes to US 30 now, I'm going to look for US 30 to come down into this support level for kind of like a longer term projection, being 31,520. This area right here, as you guys can see, which is a previous area of structure. That's where I'm going to be looking for US 30 to actually go. I would like to see US 30 give some form of a steeper pullback, maybe into 32,650, which is that area of support I was targeting at first. But the way momentum is holding up right now, I don't think that's going to happen. So I'd really have to come back into the and look at US 30 in the New York session and see where price could possibly pull back to for me to actually take a trade setup. And, when it came down to me taking the short position here on Friday, really it's all about looking left, because when you look left, structure is always going to leave clues for you as to where you could set targets for trades and where you could possibly look to enter trades. And that was my whole ideology behind this trade here. I saw US 30 break this major area of support. It started to pull back. And, once price actually continued to pull back, you can look at the weekly time frame, you can look at the daily time frame, and then you could kind of make a hypothesis on where price potentially could pull back to. And for me, that area was pretty much this entire zone right here, which price did pull back all the way into this zone here. Now, the reason that I went short was because we had this rejection here on the hour time frame. Once I saw this huge rejection towards the upside, showed me that there were still a lot of sellers interested in going short around this area, basically, right? And then the entry was fairly simple. It was kind of just a it was kind of an entry just really based off of that pin bar. I did wait for this candlestick to fluctuate a little bit before making my decision. But ultimately, that's why I like to trade US 30, is really getting into the zone or the area that I'm looking to go short in, really to try and, use as small of a stop loss as possible so I can get these crazy risk to reward ratios. Because on US 30 recently, my maximum risk was like a $25,000 risk. And on that trade, I made 170 grand. But my minimum risk is around $10,000, maybe $15,000 that I'm risking per trade. But, on average, as you guys have seen over the last few days, I've been consistently almost pulling out $100,000 almost every single winning trade. A small trade for me on US 30 right now would be like a $50,000 day. And that's considered small just because of the average and how I've been trading US 30 recently, really combining all the time frames as much as I possibly can and really being as precise as possible with my execution, because I'm really looking for momentum to be driven into my favor for me to actually be able to capitalize off of that move. Other things come into play as well, not trading outside of the New York session, things like that have really helped me with my profitability on US 30. But those are just a few tips that I found over trading US 30 over the last few weeks that may help you guys out if you guys are interested in trading US 30. Now, that's pretty much going to sum up the breakdown as of right now. Kind of, adding in any last notes that I have here. There is this 4-hour level of structure throughout this kind of entire range here. So we could look for a pullback on US 30 to this area right here for the New York session and possibly, look for break and retest of this zone for price to continue. So maybe even go down to this support area down here. That's just kind of like something I'm thinking about right now, kind of just sectioning off this structure here, seeing if this structure will still be respected over here. But as of right now, I mean, this bearish momentum is very clear. We should continue to look for sells long term at least. Now, anybody have any questions?
Can you check NAS?
NAS is probably like the same thing, very similar. Yeah, it's really the same thing in terms of like looking for an area to pull back to. So let me go to a different chart. Chart, right? So if we look at NAS here, right, we have this area being a major area here on the daily. We'll kind of actually use a zone here. Right, we have this area being a major area here on the daily time frame. We also have this area here as well. And then we can look for NAS to come down into this area right here. So automatically, I've already sectioned off NAS into 3 major zones here on the daily time frame. So there's going to be major areas within this market structure. Now, when it comes to NAS right now, price is currently trading under this area of previous resistance. So what you could wait for and look for on the New York session is some form of a pullback to this area, because clearly this area is fairly significant here on NAS, right? So, pretty much we can look for pullback into this area, break, retest, look for price to come down to this area here. Obviously, if price starts to trade above this zone, I would be very concerned for sells, and I would probably wait to sell back up into this range over here. Yep. Anybody else have any other questions? Anything they would like me to?
Yeah. Bro, with your US 30, can you talk about like the points you've been risking?
What's good?
On the US 30. You said you've been, squeezing out like crazy risk to rewards. Like I was trying to get a, sense of like where your stop losses and stuff been at.
So really when it comes down to like US 30, the stop loss is roughly always going to be the same. So I can't remember exactly my ideology taking the exact reason for entry, but what I can tell you from what I remember just off the top of my head is once I saw this hour rejection here and saw this 30-minute pin bar, that was okay enough for me to start looking to actually sell. So what I did was go down to a 5-minute time frame, and basically right once this 5-minute gave me this rejection and started to pull back, because you have to look at it from different perspectives, and you have to look at it from what this actually looks like during live market conditions and when price is actually fluctuating. So essentially here at first we have the 30-minute pin bar, then price pulled down, and this is when we had another indecision candlestick. So price ended up coming back under this kind of major area again. This is all the zone. Pulled back into the zone and then gave you a rejection here, and then you had another rejection here. So in a situation where if I were to enter off of this 5-minute candlestick here, I'm also paying attention to the 1-minute time frame, because again, I'm solely paying attention to the 1-minute time frame because of momentum. And at this point in time, it's kind of like if the 1-minute were to break above this area, then most likely it could potentially go higher. So I would like to structure myself to get into this bearish momentum here before price actually takes off and goes in the opposite direction. Because typically, if you sell in the middle of the breakout, you're pretty late. So I know a lot of people who trade breakouts, they would sell probably after price takes out these lows. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, where's your stop loss going to be, right? And in a situation where if you were to short here, your stop loss, go back to the 5-minute, would have to be above this 5-minute high that we have here, because price made a new low, which at minimum, your stop loss is going to be here. So that's like 106 pips, which points translates differently. And then, the question raises, where's your take profit going to be? Is your take profit going to be down here? Is your take profit going to be here? So again, when it comes down to me and me taking my entries, on US 30. I'm mainly taking them at the more important levels, right? So this area being a very important level, when price actually gave it, so I believe I had two entries here on US 30. So when price actually pulled down and started to reject and go in the opposite direction from this area here, and then we've already seen on the 30-minute that pin bar actually close, which is right here. This is when I started to actually look to take a short position, right? So to keep a long story short, my first short position came pretty much after this 1 minute time frame came up into this zone here, rejected, and then came down and gave me this tested candle. I sold somewhere in between that tested candle, somewhere along this area here. Stop loss was up here, right? And then
Hey, real quick, bro. Your stop loss, was it above that previous wick to the left, that big bearish 3 candles to the left?
it was not. You're talking about this one?
Not your stop loss. No. On the same time frame you was just on, that 5 minute. Like, why you put it like,
This
yeah.
where my stop loss was. This was the area.
Okay, so it was about 40 points. Okay, yeah.
Around there.
Ooh, yeah. See, bro, I do most of mine be like 100 points.
No, yeah, I mean the thing is I'm trying to trade a little bit differently when it comes to US 30, right? If I was looking for like really big, that's why I'm able to like make so much money off of, generally what would be small moves, because you can consider this move here to be a small move compared to this move, right? Because I'm looking for momentum to go in my favor almost right away, and I'm looking to have very little to almost no drawdown. Sometimes I'll see a $10,000-$15,000 drawdown before price goes in my direction. But ultimately, I'm looking to get in as close to the level as possible so that I can minimize my risk,
Mm-hmm.
Do you get, what time are you getting in around? I know that one was like 9:30 or something.
Yeah, this was like around 9:30, a little bit early. No, yeah, it was around 9:30, probably like maybe like 9:25, something along those lines, 9:30. Um, typically like from what my last like 3-4 trades I can remember, my entries are around 8 to about 9, almost 10 o'clock sometimes, because there's times where I'll wait for the 9:30 candlestick to actually, fluctuate, and then I'll get in. But then there's times where my entries just my entries are a little bit earlier, but I'm already in profit. I'll just continue to hold. Ultimately it's situational. But I try not to get in anything before 8 o'clock.
Cool, thank you, bro. Yeah, I'm trying to like squeeze out like the bigger risk to rewards, because sometimes like I got zones drawn like that. Like I already got the same zones you had drawn up, but I kind of wait a little bit till it goes a little bit away from that zone before I hop in. And sometimes it happens quick, and then I'm losing out on a few pips that I could have had.
Yeah, I mean, US 30 is you got to be very, very focused when you're trading US 30.
Yeah, same thing be happening on gold. Like I use designs and stuff, and then sometimes I'll wait, but sometimes, bro, like I was even talking to Jeffrey about that. Like my stop losses be like too big, and like sometimes I don't see any drawdown. I mean, not much, maybe like 5 on gold, like five pips or so, 10 pips, and I got like a 50 pip stop loss, and so it's kind of eating at my risk to reward. So I'm looking to tighten up, my entries.
I mean, ultimately, like, you're only going to get better with everything with time and experience. You'll be able to balance that out later on. Because, you can go through waves where maybe you're trading with too tight of a stop, and you'll go through waves where you're trading with too big of a stop, until you find that balance that you're looking for.
Yep, cool, good stuff, man. So you on US 30 this week, or you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not going to be trading anything else, especially not tomorrow, because I believe it is a bank holiday for GBP, so I'm not really expecting anything from GJ anyways. So I'm most likely just going to be trading US 30.
Cool.
Did you break down GJ, or you just left it since it was shitty?
Just left it, especially if there's a bank holiday tomorrow. Like this is not a condition I would trade.
Yeah, that's just horrible.
Yeah.
I haven't touched DJ in like a week or two. I'm gonna be honest.
It's not in like the best trading conditions right now.
If you go on GJ, you can scam it. Beep. It's still fucking so ranging.
Hey, Raul, I have a question, bro.
Let's go, bro.
Hey, would you ever offer like any person to person like any mentorship, like face to face?
You talking about like an in-person course? Are we talking about?
Yeah, like if the price is right.
I mean, I don't know, because like thing is like they're very time consuming, right? That's why I'd rather just do it online. And like I look at everything from like a value perspective, because I wouldn't even know what to charge for like an in-person. Because I mean, on Friday I sat on my computer for 2 hours, made 110 grand. You know what I mean? I can't really get that anywhere else. So it's kind of like, what can I realistically charge that would be fair, but at the same time, be fair for the students and myself,
Yeah.
Maybe later on in the future, I don't know. But right now I'm just gonna kind of continue with what I'm doing,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raul, I have two questions for you. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah. So the first one is, so you only enter on your 30 during New York session, right?
Yeah, only.
Only. Okay. And the second one is, what the difference between our DTI program and the boot camp?
The boot camp is just going to be a live class versus day trading institutions, more just like pre-recorded videos.
Okay, thank you.
It's more detail in the bootcamp.
Yeah, I mean, we spend more time as an interactive group. I mean, Jeff was part of the first boot camp that I did. There was a few classes that went on for 3-4 hours. We talk straight charts, psychology, and leveling up in general, for 3 hours. And then, an hour was just like, talking anything else. So, I mean, it's a completely different experience. Yeah, but you can just kind of ask, in the chat, see who's joined the boot camp and, get their feedback on it and see if it's right for you.
Are the webinars going to come back to the regular scheduling?
Yeah, actually, I have a lot going on right now. Mainly I'm just kind of getting ready for my daughter's arrival. So, just how to go house hunting for, a place for the mother of my child, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a little hectic recently, so I haven't been doing too many webinars. But the days that I don't do a webinar, I'll make sure I do get a breakdown out there.
Damn, so you jumped out right before that huge bearish candle type shit?
Basically, like, what happened was price came down, started to pull back up, and I had a bad experience holding through something like that. I believe, where was it? Let me try and find it. Somewhere along this area over here, right? Maybe it was this area here where I was up like 120K. And then price came all the way back, and I only closed at like $50,000 gain. And then price, I think it was like this area here. Price
I remember.
Right. So, it's kind of like, how can I say it? It's kind of like those past trades affected my decision making when it came down to this trade here. So I didn't want to go through that again. So I ended up closing the position, and I was like, I saw this candlestick come all the way back, and I was like, oh, thank God, But my target was all the way down here. And if I would have set and forget, I would have made probably like, at this point, maybe like 300,000. At this point, I'd probably be floating like $600,000 profit right now, which would have been my biggest trade ever. But you know what?
What about when it pulled back up and it had that next bearish candle? Like, is that a re-entry?
I could have, but I already made 100K.
Not fact. Just for curious, just for knowledge.
I mean, to be honest, I probably would have if I was paying attention. Because right once I closed the trade, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go on with my day, and then I didn't even look at the charts again. Then I came back and price was down here, and I'm like, what the fuck, right? So, it's an unfortunate situation. But you know what it is, what it is. I probably would have re-entered here as well. But yeah,
I
basically.
got another question as far as like you're saying your biggest day yet and shit like that. Because I see people have huge days, and you think you don't pull out those huge days because it's more or less just discipline and sticking to your strategy.
I mean, it depends ultimately.
Because I know you could do it, bro. Like we all know you can fucking smack that shit. But it's like
Yeah,
I
for
just been wondering lately, like just staying consistent over just home runs.
it comes down to like, you're not always gonna have a home run, especially not like this.
Right.
Right? So what it comes down to is having maybe a little bit of greed, a little bit of extra greed, and the market's just being in the right condition overall. You know what I mean? Because if the markets is clean and it just goes and goes and goes, I'll be able to hold and hold and hold, right? But then also what comes into, I guess, effect is, how have my previous trades gone? That's going to affect my current decision making with this trade, because like imagine if you take 5 trades, that price goes in your favor and you're up 10K each time, but then price goes against you and goes to your stop loss, right? You know how hard it's going to be for you to continue to hold past the $10,000 profit on the 6th trade because you're literally going to have built up USD. It literally, right? So, there's a lot that comes into account. It's not just about like discipline or your trading methodology or anything.
And US 30 is known for having piss poor news happen, then it tanks, and then all of a sudden it goes the opposite way, and it'll take all your shit with it.
Yeah, literally. I mean, the one thing that's more important is like you can never go broke with a profit, So I've had days on US 30 where I try holding a trade, I hold it for too long, and instead of closing at like, I don't know, give you a random example, instead of closing at like 120K, I'll close at 80,000, 70,000, and then price will go completely against me. But then I've also had days where, like this day over here where I made 100K on this move, right? From, I believe, this point to this point, but then look what happened shortly after that. But then again, it's like the psychology of, damn, am I able to really hold through this pullback here and then price come down to this and this and this and this, So it's a combination of a lot of things. But really, it just comes down to when it comes down to like home run trades, it just comes down to like the right market conditions, and you having the right entry, really.
Right. The reason I was saying is like discipline is because you only risk like a certain percentage of the account, and you're looking for a certain risk to reward. So,
I mean, ultimately, like it depends on the account that I'm trading. So I have 3 trading accounts right now. I have 1 main trading account. I have a smaller trading account, and then I have a challenge account. If I'm taking the trade on the challenge account, then I'm going a lot higher risk. If I'm taking the trade on the main account, I'm going a lot less risk. But roughly I'm risking the same dollar value. So it just really depends on what account I'm trading on that week and what the goal for that trading account actually is.
Like personal challenge, or are you doing like a funded?
No, personal challenge.
Or
Yeah. So what was it, like 2 weeks ago? I deposited 100K into the broker, turned it into $500,000, and then I withdrew everything. And then that's when I went and bought the Performante. And then I did it again last week. So I did 2 of them, but this one was only like $250,000, and right now it's sitting at about like 450,000.
So, Raul, you made over $1 million this month, right? Trading?
Around there, humbly.
When you're trading US 30, when do you move your stop loss to break even?
It depends. Because US 30 has been moving so fast that typically, I don't move my stops to break even. By then, I'm already out of the trade. Yeah, by then I'm already out of the trade because the thing is with US 30, like you can have a huge move down, a huge move back up, and then a bigger move down, for price to continue to go into your favor. So it's a little bit of a trickier game with US 30, especially with these huge wicks to the upside. But really from my experience over the last few weeks of trading US 30, I don't really move my stops to break even all too much. Typically, I'm getting in and out of a position within a few hours. like I think my longest trade on US 30 that I held was like maybe like 6 hours. And I was actively monitoring the trade the entire time.
Yeah, so
Bro,
Yo,
yo, what up, brother? How you doing?
good.
Hey, US 30 on the daily time frame. This has to do with the course. Well, I can see market structure coming down. We have lower highs, or lower highs, higher lows coming down. But now we see that we had a break on that new highest point right there. First one.
Yeah, bro, I heard literally nothing you said. Your connection.
He sounded like he was falling off the earth.
Yo, literally.
Yeah, that sound
I'm
was
gonna have
crazy.
to come back to that.
Yeah, no problem, bro. But yeah, does anybody
Hey,
else?
Rob, when you're actively like I guess managing a trade, like what does that mean to you in a sense? Like I know it's kind of different with everybody, but like you literally like watching the chart, or you like watching TV while kind of watching it? Like what do you like?
So what I mean by actively managing my trade, ultimately it depends on the trade itself and where the trade is running. Like, I'll give you a random example. You know, if I take an entry here, right? Let's just random example. If I take an entry here, right, and my stop loss is for this 5 minute high, and price
Mm-hmm.
down and down, and then it pulls back on me. Like throughout this entire time, I'm watching the trade until I see what happens with when price gets to the support level, right? Let's
Yeah.
price gets to this support level. I decide to continue to hold for some reason. Right once price starts to break under, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna move my stops here under this above this 5 minute high. And what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's see if price can get to my next target, which will be, let's call it random. You know, let's call it here, and then let's call it here. In the meantime, I'll kind of, do whatever I want while price is
Yeah.
already. Right once price is broken under my main level of support that I'm looking for it to break, and I'm going to continue to hold my position. I'm kind of very actively watching my trade until my trade is far enough in profit where I could kind of like look at my trade, be on YouTube at the same time, get some other work
Yeah.
done. To do, you know what
Do
I
you
mean?
set alerts or no?
Say it again?
Do you like use alerts or no?
Not really, because I have multiple monitors, so I'll kind of, have my trading view on one monitor, my MetaTrader on the other monitor, and whatever I'm doing on another monitor.
Cool. Okay. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, the only thing is I just always try and be on my computer as much as I can.
Got it.
Hey brother, so you're always there like by the computer while you're watching your trades, or like you're just fucking around, or
I mean, when I got like tens of thousands of dollars on the line, I don't want to be fucking around, So I always try and be as professional as I possibly can, and be on my computer, because when it comes to fast,
Yeah.
It's gonna take me 2 seconds to close my trade on the computer versus, somebody on their phone. It'll take them, a little bit longer. But in the situation when you're trading the position size that I'm trading, that difference could be a few thousand or tens of thousands of dollars. Like I saw somebody comment on my last YouTube video the other day, like he was like, damn, in the matter of him closing the trade from when he was saying he was going to close the trade, he lost $6,000. Then the guy commented like, that's what I made in an entire month. He lost in a second. And it's like, it's just, it is what it is. It's part of the game. And it's part of like that fast decision making that you have to make, so when it comes down to times like that, I always try and be on my computer.
Okay, so you're always active. Like you have it, like you might be doing something else on another monitor, but on the other ones you have your trade set up already.
Yeah, for sure. And especially like maybe like when things are a little bit slower, like pre-New York, right? I'll probably be like, checking up on news, reading articles on, what's going on with the stock market and the economy overall in general, looking at different things. But when it comes to 9:30, I turn everything off and I specifically focus just on my charts.
You're just on it.
I'm on it for the next hour.
Okay.
That's like the most important time.
Yeah, because I'm a truck driver, so I'm always I'm on the road, you know, so I can't keep my eyes on a chart, you know, 100%. You
Yeah.
know, so that's kind of my thing on keeping my eyes on the chart.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my little disadvantages on it, because I can have your YouTube or what's his face, Alex's YouTube on, you know, I'm watching the podcast and this and that, you know, I can do that. But when it comes to the charts, I mean, obviously I can't just focus on just the charts because I'm on the road. You know what I mean? And that's what's kind of like, it kind of throws me off. But when I'm done driving and everything, I'm on the charts.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you're trading a higher time frame, that shouldn't be a problem, really, because if you're trading like a higher time frame, you know, you don't got to be focused on, you know, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so that's why I'm studying the charts and everything, blah blah blah. But you know, once I start driving, it's like fuck, like I can't really focus too much on the charts, you know. So that's my little difficulty on me, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
I can't be, you know, I can't be on it, you know, 100% of the time. I
Yeah.
can only be on it like maybe like afternoon, basically. Yeah, towards the end of the day, you know what I mean? Because I'm driving all day and night.
Yep.
And that's what I struggle on. I was just trying to see, like, you know, trying to focus on the charts, kind of difficult with me.
Yeah, you know, I don't really see that as a problem or anything, you know.
So what would you suggest towards truck drivers on it? You know what I mean? Like some guys that are truck drivers, you know, what would you be your best advice on trading?
Maybe focus on a little bit of a higher time frame. You know, and just check back on the chart every other 30 minutes, hour if you can.
Orally.
Yeah.
Down. Thank you.
No problem.
Good question, bro.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your top-down analysis on the daily, I know you don't like having too much, you know, lines and lines on the chart. How many markups you do for the price on the daily chart? If that makes sense.
How many zones do I have? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, on the daily.
3 or 4.
3 and 4. Okay, that's the most you have. All right.
Nothing crazy.
It's just more like current price, right?
What's up?
It's just more like current price, like where price could, could reject from or.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bro. Could you go to the Nas 100 real quick? I just had a quick question real quick. Would you classify 1 to 450 and 1 to 450 and like 1 to 330 as like intraday levels?
On what time frame are you looking at it?
1 hour.
Yeah, you could look at it that way. Thing is though, like you bump it up to a 4 hour time frame, and it's not really as significant as like this area over here, like this area down here, you know.
So could you look to like possibly take an entry from those levels?
From 1 to 450, I mean, you could. I wouldn't say, or I wouldn't see why not. But ultimately, what I would recommend you do is wait and see what price looks like during the New York session when we have real movement with Nas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, Raul?
Good, bro.
What's up, bro? Yeah, I got here a little late, bro. So can you like repeat the breakdown for US 30 and gold?
Really, it's just about waiting for a pullback. US 30, I'm kind of looking at it to pull back into this area right here. But really, you got to wait and see what happens during the New York session, because I mean, there's so many hours from now to the New York session. A lot can happen. The prices up here by the time it's the New York session, I want to say sells. The prices up, I want to say, wait, because something's going on.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I would continue to look to short long term. With gold as well. Gold's a little bit different. Gold London session, you can possibly look for a retest and a rejection of this zone. Look for price to go down to 1722.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, anyways, I'm a New York session trader, so I trade in the mornings.
Oh yeah.
All right. And also I was gonna ask you, how does the core price index news, like how do you think it affects the way price moves? Like you saw what happened on Friday, like the news that came out with US 30 and like everything went crazy.
Yeah, that was the Fed. I mean, when you're talking about CPI, you're talking about inflation, and typically when the CPI number drops is when you'll see the stock market go up, and vice versa. When you see inflation go up, then the stock market will drop.
Okay. All right. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, brother, I had another question on is there a way you can break down GU?
Uh,
Do you think it'll go down to its lowest low?
you mean down here?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you gotta kind of wait and see. Let me see. I would say wait and see what happens at this area here. If price can get under this support level, being 1.1, being 1.165, I can't see the rest of the numbers, right? Then most likely it'll continue to go down. You just gotta wait and see what happens here, though.
Yeah, because it's going in a little downtrend. So I was looking at it, and maybe it might go down all the way to its lowest low.
Possibly. I just wait for a pullback.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ro, I got a quick question for you. Like on your US 30 trade from Friday, can you go to that one? I'm just curious about the little pullback on the 5-minute. So when you say you look for the pullback, so right there, I'm just using this as an example because it's a pretty easy one for people to follow. So it went above that zone. It broke below in retest. I mean, okay, cool. So where, as far as like that break in the retest, where are you getting in at? Like, are you waiting for like 3 candles or, just that one candle?
I'm just waiting for the rejection. Ultimately, I wanted to go short aggressively because of this pin bar. Huge, big rejection to the upside, and price closed right under my area of resistance. This overall zone is kind of the gray zone is, the most precise area of resistance I would really like to get in at. So all I really waited for was on the 5-minute time frame with some form of a little rejection, a little bit of a pullback, along with the 1-minute time frame. The 30-minute time frame, that pin bar was my, okay, let's sell, right? Then it came down to the 5-minute and the 1-minute for me to look for my actual like entry to try and be as accurate as I possibly can, which price came up, back into resistance, rejected, back into resistance, rejected. So my entry was pretty much along this area here. I can't really tell you exactly where. Let me see. Because I had 2 entries. So
Yeah. Well, you like just as far as like the add the positions and stuff. But your second entry.
So my second entry was right here. That was my second entry. My first entry was right here. So those were my 2 entries.
Yeah, that's smooth right here. Same stop loss or different ones?
Same stop loss area, pretty much around this area up here.
So you shoot for that wick right there. Okay. Was it the wick that you were aiming for right there, or just like, that was just?
What do you mean?
The wick. So right where you drew the line, that big wick to the left.
This one?
Nope. Your stop loss line.
Right here.
The next candle to the left.
No, my stop loss was just above these highs, or this high. But enough to where if price gets above that, then I'm out.
Oh yeah, you snapped. That's how many points is that? That's like you running a tight ship.
I don't think it was a lot. Like for my entry, my first one from here to here is like 34, roughly.
Yeah. No, that's not bad. But you said above that other. Okay, yeah. No, that's good though.
On this, I had maybe like 13, 14K at risk.
I got you. That's good stuff right there. I'm just trying to dial it in more precision because like the same levels and stuff that you have, I have those same levels. I had them already marked off, even on gold. So I know I'm headed in the right direction. So
I mean, yeah, but the thing is, like me and you are gonna look at the charts, very differently. More importantly, you just gotta find what works for you and what suits you. I can only just lay the foundation of the things that I do to help you out.
yeah, foundation is laid. But I'm just, I'm gonna just go back and back test all the stuff that you was just, talking about. So
Yeah,
just wanna appreciate it though.
sure.
Yo, bro, I got a quick question, bro.
Yeah, what's good, bro?
What's the benefit to owning like an LLC while trading? And do you think like us small traders with a couple $1,000 should open one, or what do you think?
I mean, I think unless like you fall under like a certain tax bracket when it comes to like trading capital gains, I don't really think you should really have one. I wouldn't see the benefit, because I mean, when it comes down to trading profits, that's capital gains regardless. So you're going to be taxed as capital gains. More importantly, though, I would just kind of talk to CPAs and tax accountants.
All right, thanks, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to give you, tax advice when I'm not an accountant.
It was good, Chief. Hello.
Yo, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, what's
Is
good?
it all right if I share my screen real quick to show you my chart, and you can correct me if possible?
Let me see. We'll even let you. I don't think
Oh,
you could try.
what's this? Okay. I was wondering if you can go on AU real quick. If I could tell you what I have exactly.
Okay.
All right, cool. Considering that I see this big bearish move to the downside, and it broke below this this minor resistance at 69.16. I do believe that price may come back and retest the daily level at 68.72. At that, possibly come back down to 67.83, or possibly if it does come back to retest the daily level at 68.72, it could end up breaking above and using it as a support and coming back to 68.98. At that, end up coming back down again to 67.83. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, the thing right now is like it's at major support. I do see it continuing to go down just because how this is playing out on the daily time frame. But ultimately you'd have to wait and see. So really you have two options: either look to buy at this support level, or wait for the break, the retest, and look for it to come down to this next support level. It's all along this area here.
All right, cool. Appreciate it.
No problem, bro.
Yo, Ro, I got a question.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by you're marking up your intraday levels? Because I think I have an idea, but I just don't want to.
Intraday is basically levels that you find on like the hour time frame.
Okay. Because I thought you meant like mark the highs and lows of the daily candlestick. Because that's what I do. I was trading GJ all last week, and I've been catching some pretty good wins.
Yeah, I mean that's perfectly fine too. You can do that as well. There's nothing wrong with knowing the highs and lows of the day or the previous day. Obviously, like when it comes down to like US 30, and I do my pre-market analysis, you got to see where the high and the low of the current trading day is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anybody have any last questions before I end the webinar?
Yeah, hey, Ro, I know you don't have like a hard take profit, so how do you determine if you're about to pull out or not? If take your profits.
It depends on momentum. Most of the times I do have a hard take profit. But on US 30, I haven't really been seeing my hard take profits actually getting hit. I've been getting out a little bit earlier, and with reason. But really it just comes down to volume. If volume holds and breaks through that level right away, then I'll continue to hold. If volume slows down and I start to see some major rejections, I'll get out.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that makes sense actually. All right, thank you.
What are some new things that you've learned that you would like to share with us?
I mean, it depends. Really, when it comes down to US 30, you have to be like, if you really want to look for like those big moves, you have to be as accurate as possible in terms of getting in at your more important levels. Because anything in between, you could see a lot of pullbacks, but more importantly, like when you trade US 30, from what my experience has been, is you have to be able to, one, not just sit on your hands as much as possible, but make decisions very quickly because of how fast US 30 just simply moves. And those quick decision makings could either cost you thousands or make you thousands,
Yeah.
But in terms of like, I mean, if you just take a look at like the US 30 chart over the last few days, I mean, from the 22nd till about what happened on Friday, it was pretty much just slow but steady sideways movement, where the movement has actually just been pulling back the entire time. But the good thing about US 30 is that the risk to reward potential on almost any trade that you take is just absolutely ridiculous.
Raul's officially a US 30 trader. There will be no more GJ, none of that stuff. No times.
I don't think so, bro. No, not for me.
Hey, bro, because it's hard. It's moving too quick. You making too much. You like, nah, I'm good.
Bro, I was literally calculating it in my head the other day. Like, for me to even trade US 30, or for me to even trade GJ and make a quarter of the same amount, or not even, for me to just make 100K on GJ, first I need to see in a 100 pip move, and I need to be trading 100 lots. And on top of that, I have to take into account like slippage and everything else that, goes on with the broker when you trade 100 lots, to see if the broker will even let me trade 100 lots. Because some brokers, they'll cap, it doesn't matter how much money you have in your trading account, they'll cap the lot size that you trade on. So maybe on GJ, they'll cap me to like 50 lots. Like, for example, on US 30, I'm capped to 10 lots. I can't enter anything more than 10 lots unless I'm entering multiple 10 lot positions, So, it takes a lot into account. But, I mean, right now, I really like the schedule I'm on, as well. I don't want to kind of mess that up by trading GJ during London, But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Bro,